Hey guys, well, this week we're going to be working on actually plumbing out the air ride system on the 37. Now, before we start, I want to take a minute and say thank you to you guys that went out to the Patreon site and actually made pledges and everything else. I hope you guys really enjoy the extra content, and it means the world to us. It helps us out here on these builds, that's for sure. Well, anyway, so we're going to work on plumbing out the 1937. Now, the first thing you guys should do whenever you're taking and plumbing out a full air ride system is draw it out. And I'm going to post up the drawing I did here. You need to plan out each one of your fittings, every line, everything else. You don't need to plan on where it's going to go in the car. You need to plan out what fittings you need and about how many feet of line. Okay? Always buy extra. Trust me, always buy extra. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through and actually put all the fittings onto the actual components, okay? The reason we do this is because we use Loctite, what is it?
Loctite 545.
So that Loctite there is actually great stuff. It's a thread sealant. Now, the guys over at Switch told me to use it. I used it on the 64. It made a world of difference. Doing the Teflon tape, the gas line tape, all the tricks I used to do, this is way better. You just put a little bit on there, tighten it up, let it seal for 24 hours before you put air to it, and it's good to go. So, just a heads up guys, it's about 20 bucks a bottle. I suggest you use it if you're plumbing out your air right. So now, the first thing I'm going to talk about is this tank that we have, okay? This tank is different than some of the other tanks I've used. Some of the other tanks have all the ports down the side. It's a cheap tank that I bought off of somebody for 20 bucks, okay? It was brand new in the box, but the guy had never used it. So, this one has one large port on the end, and that's going to be a 1/2-inch port. We're going to use that for the compressor to plug into. On the other end, we ended up putting the drain here on it instead of on the bottom because we're going to be mounting this sideways, so therefore we need the drain on the end. The center one here is a 3/8 port, and that's going to be our feed line out to the manifold and all the valves. The top one here is a little 1/4 inch. Now the reason I put this on there is because I'm going to put a Schrader valve on it. And what a Schrader valve does is you can use it like a normal air chuck on a tire. So if for any reason the compressor fails, I can plug in a normal compressor, get this thing up off the ground and keep it moving. And of course the last thing on the inside, where the drain normally would go, I put a pressure switch. Now if you guys are building your stuff from scratch like I am, I'm using components from all different things, all different brands that I didn't buy a kit, gotta remember to put that pressure switch in. You can get 180s, 150s, 120s, 200s, whatever you want, do it. Now this tank is only rated at 200, so I'm going to put a 150 in it. I don't need this thing to shoot to the moon, so that's all I need. So the way the pressure switch works is it breaks the feed line, use it on the signal wire on the relay. So when it senses it needs more pressure, it will take and connect, turn the compressor on. When it hits pressure, it will disconnect. So I don't need to flip a switch every time I need air. That switch is going to tell me when the tank needs to be full, turn on the compressor and fill itself back up. So first thing we're going to do is mount this tank. The normal mounting area we had is not going to work. We're going to have to go to a new location, but we'll make it work. So we're going to do that and then we start figuring out all the valves. I'm going to be coming out of the tank with a 3/8 line. Then I'm going to use this little manifold I picked up today to convert it from 3/8 down to 4/4 inch lines. So we're going to go ahead and put the fittings in this now. Alright guys, so when you're plumbing out the airbags, you need to understand the whole concept. So what it is you have air coming from your tank, a valve opens, feeds air into the line with the bag inflates. Now on that line you're going to put in a T with another valve. So once that bag's inflated, you run down the road and you want to lower the car down, you're going to turn on the other valve, which is just merely going to siphon the air out and let it come down. It uses the weight of the car to push the air out. Okay. Other than that, it's really simple. One feeds, one empties. Okay. All right, guys, we got all the major components in. We've taken and put all the fittings in. So now I'm going to actually start plumbing this out. Now, with this DOT airline, I'm using 1/4 inch because I really want this thing to move slow. I don't want it to jump up in the air. So, using the same cutters I always use. Now, make sure when you cut this stuff, you cut it square, not in an angle, anything like that. You want to make sure it's square. So, I can lay out where I want it. And a nice clean cut, easy as that. Now, the connections I'm using are push connects. This is what's going to be in most of the kits you buy. They're very simple. You take it, put the line in, push in as hard as you can, make sure it's all the way seated, and then pull on it. And it's seated. Simple as that. Now, if you need to get it out, there's a little ring here. Just squeeze the ring, and you can pull it back apart. These guys right here. So if you can see it, there's a ring that you push on, and you can do it. All right. Now once I've got the line cut into place and I know where I want to put it, I'll use small clips like this to anchor it in place. That way it wouldn't move. So as simple as taking it around the line, putting a self-tapper in, and tightening it up. Shift it to where I want it. Just like that, it's anchored in place. In this case, wherever it's going to rub, you're going to take a piece of fuel line, split it with a razor blade so you can open it up, and just put it around the line so it's got an insulator and it won't take and pop there. So, simple as that. All right, let's keep running lines. All right, now that everything's plumbed and we're ready to go, we've got our wiring just temporarily done so that, just so we can test everything. So if we grab the levers and go up, goes up, and then we can do them individually. Do it right. Left and down. So it looks pretty good. So everything's plumbed, tested, we're ready to roll. All right, so now when I plumbed in the air for the trunk, I added one of these flow controls, okay? This is a cheap one. They run about 10 bucks for a cheap one. They're great if they don't leak. So what it is there's a knob on here and I can adjust how much air comes through at a time, and I put that in line after the dump to the ram. So therefore it's going to control how fast it closes, how fast it opens, okay? Now I can simply turn the knob to give it more air or turn the other way to give it less air. So if you have trouble with your air ride system coming up way too fast or going down way too slow, let's say you put too big of lines in, you can get a flow control, put it in line and slow the thing down. So that's actually what I had done on the 64. Alright guys, that about wraps it up for this week. We've got it all plumbed out, tested. I feel good about it. So I'll probably tweak it a little bit and clean it up some. Definitely before we wire it. So next week we'll probably actually start sheeting more of the floor and start wrapping up this inside. So I hope this video helped you and answered some questions and at least made you realize it's not a lot to this. So do me a favor, if you like this video, like and subscribe.
And if you'd like to see more, click here.
All right, guys, have a great week.
Bye. You can't do it.
If you guys are wondering why I'm wearing these, no more butt crack. That's right.